the Axolotl, the Peter Pan of the animal kingdom. Alright, let's kick things off with a creature that looked at the rule book of life, chuckled, and tossed it into the nearest lake. Meet the Axolotl. At first glance, it looks like a Pokemon that didn't make the final cut, a sort of perpetually smiling, feathery-gilled lizardfish. It's native only to a couple of lakes near Mexico City, primarily Lake Xochimilco, and it has a superpower that makes Wolverine look like he's slow to heal. This isn't just an animal, it's a biological paradox with a goofy grin. The Axolotl's main claim to fame is a condition called neoteny, which is a fancy way of saying it never grows up. Think of it as the ultimate Peter Pan. While its salamander cousins undergo metamorphosis, losing their gills, growing lungs, and crawling out onto land to live an adult life of taxes and responsibility, the Axolotl just doesn't. It reaches adulthood and can reproduce, all while keeping its juvenile, fully aquatic features. It stays in the water, breathing through those frilly external gills that look like a flamboyant headdress. It's like a teenager who decides to live in their parents' swimming pool forever, and somehow it works. But the never growing up thing is just the appetizer. The main course is its almost absurd regenerative ability. You think a lizard regrowing its tail is cool? The Axolotl finds that adorable. If an Axolotl loses a limb, it doesn't just grow back a stump or a basic replacement. It grows back a perfect, fully functional limb, complete with bones, muscle, nerves, and skin. It can do this over and over again without any scarring. But why stop at limbs? An Axolotl can regenerate parts of its spinal cord. It can regenerate damaged lung tissue. In a feat that has scientists both baffled and furiously taking notes, it can even regenerate parts of its brain. If you were to damage a section of an Axolotl's cerebrum, it could potentially repair it. There's no other vertebrate on Earth that can pull this off with such finesse. It's like having a biological undo button for almost any injury. The secret lies in its stem cells. Axolotls maintain a massive population of these master cells throughout their lives, ready to be deployed at a moment's notice. When an injury occurs, these cells swarm to the site, form a structure called a blastema, and then, reading some kind of deep, ancient biological blueprint, they reconstruct the missing part with flawless precision. Scientists are desperately studying this process, hoping to one day unlock this capability for humans. Imagine a world where spinal cord injuries or heart damage could be repaired by activating our own latent regenerative powers. The key to that future might be floating around in a Mexican lake, smiling. And if that wasn't weird enough, you can even induce metamorphosis in an axolotl. By injecting it with iodine or thyroid hormones, you can force it to do what it refuses to do naturally. It will absorb its gills, develop lungs, and transform into a terrestrial salamander. But here's the tragic twist. This forced adulthood dramatically shortens its lifespan. The Peter Pan that's forced to grow up dies young. It seems the axolotl knows a secret we don't. Maybe never growing up is the key to a long, healthy, and incredibly regenerative life. The platypus. Nature's identity crisis. If you asked a committee of drunk zoologists to design an animal, they'd probably come up with the platypus. This thing is a biological mixtape of features that have no business being on the same creature. It has the bill and webbed feet of a duck, the body and fur of an otter, and the tail of a beaver. It lays eggs like a reptile, but it produces milk for its young like a mammal. It's one of the few venomous mammals in the world. The platypus is not just an animal, it's a walking, swimming evolutionary puzzle that had early European naturalists convinced it was an elaborate hoax. When the first platypus specimen was sent to Britain in 1799, scientists thought some prankster had stitched a duck's beak onto a mole's body. They even tried to pry the bill off, looking for the stitches. But it was real, and it was weirder than they could have imagined. Let's start with that bill. It's not hard like a duck's beak. It's soft, rubbery, and covered in thousands of receptors that detect both touch and electricity. When the platypus dives underwater to hunt for insects and crustaceans, it closes its eyes, ears, and nostrils. It navigates and finds its prey in complete darkness, using only echolocation. It can detect the tiny electrical fields generated by the muscle contractions of its prey. It's essentially a furry, swimming metal detector for shrimp. Then there's the reproduction. The platypus is a monotreme, an ancient lineage of mammals that still lays eggs. The female lays 1 to 3 small, leathery eggs in a burrow and incubates them with her body. When the tiny, undeveloped young, called puggles, which is an objectively wonderful name, hatch, they need milk. But the platypus has no nipples. Instead, the female secretes milk through pores in her skin, and it pools in grooves on her abdomen for the puggles to lap up. She essentially sweats milk. Let that sink in. And we can't forget the venom. The male platypus has a sharp, hollow spur on the ankle of each hind leg, connected to a venom gland. While not lethal to humans, the venom is excruciatingly painful and can cause swelling that lasts for months. The pain is so intense that it's resistant to morphine, and victims have described it as a torment beyond imagination. This venom is primarily used during mating season in fights with other males, turning a romantic rivalry into a duel with poison-tipped ankle daggers. A venomous, egg-laying, milk-sweating, electric-sensing mammal. Every single part of that sentence is a biological contradiction. Even its genetics are a mess. The platypus genome, when sequenced, was found to be a bizarre mosaic of mammal, reptile, and bird-like genes. It has genes associated with egg-laying, just like a chicken, and genes for milk production, like a cow. It has 10 sex chromosomes, not 2 like us. Humans have XX for female and XY for male. The platypus has a system of 10 chromosomes that form a complex chain during cell division, a system that has more in common with plants than with other mammals. The platypus isn't just a weird animal, it's a living fossil, a window into a time when the lines between mammal, reptile, and bird were still being drawn. It's a beautiful, baffling creature that reminds us that sometimes evolution's greatest successes are its weirdest experiments. The anglerfish. The terrifying light in the dark. Let's descend into the crushing blackness of the midnight zone, thousands of feet below the ocean's surface, where the pressure is immense and sunlight is a forgotten memory. Down here, in the abyssal plain, lives a creature that embodies the very concept of deep-sea horror. The anglerfish. This isn't just a fish, it's a nightmare with fins, a masterpiece of grotesque adaptation designed for a life of absolute darkness and scarcity. The most iconic feature of the female anglerfish is the one that gives her name. A fleshy, bioluminescent lure that dangles from a modified dorsal fin spine right above her gaping mouth. This isn't just a light, it's a sophisticated hunting tool. The light is not produced by the fish itself, but by a colony of symbiotic bacteria living inside the lure, or ESCA. The fish provides the bacteria with nutrients and a safe home, and in return, the bacteria provide a constant, eerie glow. The anglerfish can control the light, pulsing it or waving the lure around to mimic the movements of a small squid or crustacean, attracting curious prey in the food-scarce deep. When a hopeful victim comes to investigate the ghostly light, the anglerfish's enormous trap-like mouth filled with long, needle-sharp, inward-pointing teeth snaps shut. Escape is impossible. The female anglerfish is a marvel of terrifying efficiency. Her body is mostly mouth and stomach. Her skin is thin and gelatinous, her bones are light and flexible to withstand the immense pressure, and her stomach can expand to digest prey even larger than herself, a crucial adaptation when your next meal might be weeks away. She is the undisputed queen of her dark, lonely domain. But her story gets infinitely weirder when we talk about her love life. In the vast, empty darkness of the abyss, finding a mate is a monumental challenge. So, the anglerfish has evolved one of the most bizarre and extreme examples of sexual dimorphism on the planet. The female can be massive, sometimes several feet long. The male, by contrast, is a tiny, pathetic runt, often less than an inch long. He has one purpose in his short life: find a female. He is essentially a self-propelled pair of testes. He has large, well-developed eyes to spot the faint glow of a female's lure, and a powerful sense of smell to track her pheromones. When he finally finds a female, the truly weird part begins. He latches onto her with his sharp teeth, and his body begins to physically fuse with hers. His skin and blood vessels merge with hers. He becomes a permanent parasite. He loses his eyes, his fins, his internal organs, everything he no longer needs. He becomes nothing more than a living sperm bank, attached to her body, drawing all his nutrients from her blood and providing her with a ready supply of gametes whenever she is ready to reproduce. A single female can have multiple males attached to her, a collection of shriveled, parasitic husbands ensuring her reproductive success. It's a system known as sexual parasitism, and it is as grim as it is efficient. It's a solution to the problem of loneliness in the deep sea, a solution that turns romance into a permanent parasitic fusion. The anglerfish isn't just a monster of the deep. It's a testament to how strange, brutal, and utterly alien life can become when pushed to the absolute limits of existence. The tardigrade, the indestructible water bear. From the crushing abyss, let's zoom in, way in, to the microscopic world. Here we find a creature that makes the concept of a survivor look like a gross understatement. Meet the tardigrade, also known as the water bear or moss piglet. This tiny, 8-legged, pudgy invertebrate is arguably the toughest animal on Earth. It's so resilient that it makes cockroaches look fragile. Tardigrades are extremophiles, meaning they can survive conditions that would instantly kill almost any other known life form. What kind of conditions are we talking about? Well, for starters, they can survive the vacuum of outer space. In 2007, a group of tardigrades was taken up on a satellite and exposed to the vacuum and lethal solar radiation of space for 10 days. When they were brought back to Earth and rehydrated, many of them not only survived but also went on to reproduce successfully. They are the only known animal to have survived exposure to open space. But their list of superpowers doesn't stop there. They can withstand temperatures from just above absolute zero, 458 to well above the boiling point of water, up to 300 degree or 150 degree. They can endure pressures 6 times greater than those found in the deepest ocean trenches. They can survive lethal doses of radiation, hundreds of times the dose that would kill a human. They can go without food or water for decades. How is this possible for a creature that looks like a microscopic gummy bear? The secret is a state called cryptobiosis. When faced with a life-threatening environment, a tardigrade can enter a state of suspended animation so profound it borders on death. It retracts its legs, curls up into a tiny, desiccated ball called a tun, and reduces its metabolic rate to less than 0.001% of normal. It essentially replaces the water in its cells with protective sugars and proteins that form a glass-like matrix, preventing the cell structures from being destroyed. In this tun state, the tardigrade is practically indestructible. It can wait out the apocalypse. When conditions become favorable again, even if it's 30 years later, you just add water, and the tun will unfurl. The tardigrade will reanimate, crawl away, and start looking for a meal as if it just woke up from a long nap. This ability has allowed them to colonize every corner of the planet, from the highest mountains to the deepest seas, from tropical rainforests to the Antarctic ice sheet. They are likely in your backyard right now, chilling in a patch of moss or lichen. Their incredible resilience is due to a unique set of proteins, appropriately named tardigrade-specific proteins. One of these, called DSOP, damage suppressor, has been shown to protect DNA from radiation damage. When scientists inserted this gene into human cultured cells, those cells became significantly more resistant to X-ray radiation. The tardigrade doesn't just have a defensive shield. It has a molecular toolkit for survival that is unlike anything else we've ever seen. It's a humble, microscopic creature that has mastered the art of survival on a cosmic scale. It teaches us that the most resilient forms of life aren't always the biggest or the strongest, but the ones that know how to wait, how to protect themselves, and how to endure no matter what the universe throws at them. The blobfish, more than just a meme. Let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the gelatinous sad face in the ocean. The blobfish. In 2013, it was voted the world's ugliest animal, and it has since become a global meme, a symbol of all things droopy and pathetic. But this reputation is based on a profound misunderstanding. The blobfish isn't ugly, it's just a victim of extreme depressurization. We are judging a deep-sea creature by how it looks in our world, which is like judging a human by how they look after being thrown into a vacuum. In its natural habitat between 2,000 and 4,000 feet deep off the coasts of Australia and Tasmania, the blobfish looks like a completely normal fish. The pressure down there is 60 to 120 times greater than at the surface. To survive, the blobfish has evolved a body with very little muscle and a skeleton made of soft, light cartilage. Its flesh is primarily a gelatinous mass with a density just slightly less than water. This allows it to float effortlessly just above the seafloor without expending any energy on swimming. It's a brilliant adaptation for a low-energy lifestyle where food is scarce. It simply hovers in place, waiting for edible matter, like deep-sea crabs or mollusks, to drift by, then gulps it down. The tragedy occurs when a blobfish is ripped from its high-pressure home by deep-sea fishing trawlers. As it's dragged to the surface, the drastic change in pressure causes its gelatinous tissues to decompress and expand, collapsing its body into the sad, droopy caricature we all know. That iconic photo is not what a blobfish looks like. It's a picture of a creature suffering from a catastrophic, fatal case of the bends. It's a photo of its corpse. What's even more fascinating is their parental care, which is surprisingly dedicated for a fish that looks so lazy. Female blobfish lay thousands of pink eggs in a nest on the seafloor. She will then hover over her eggs, guarding them from predators and keeping them clean until they hatch. This level of maternal care is rare in deep-sea fish. In an environment where life is a constant struggle, the blobfish invests a huge amount of energy into ensuring the survival of its next generation. So, the blobfish is not a pathetic, ugly joke. It's a highly specialized survivor, perfectly adapted to one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Its ugliness is a human projection, a result of our own actions, pulling it out of its world and into ours. It's a powerful reminder that our standards of beauty and normalcy are incredibly limited. The blobfish teaches us a lesson in empathy and perspective. Before we label something as ugly or weird, we should first try to understand the world it comes from. In the crushing, dark depths of the ocean, the blobfish isn't a blob, it's a king, floating serenely in its gelatinous castle. The pangalan, the artichoke with legs. Imagine an animal that looks like a walking pine cone, or a tiny, sentient artichoke. That's the pangalan. Found in Asia and Africa, this shy, nocturnal creature is the only mammal in the world to be covered in large, overlapping scales made of keratin, the same stuff as our fingernails and rhino horns. These scales are not just for show, they are a formidable suit of armor. When a pangalan feels threatened, it does something remarkably simple and effective. It curls up into a tight, impenetrable ball. The sharp-edged scales lock together, protecting its soft underbelly and face from predators like lions and tigers. It can even use its tail as a mace, lashing out with its sharp scales. But the pangalan's weirdness is more than skin deep. It has no teeth. Instead, it has a tongue that is, frankly, absurd. A pangalan's tongue can be longer than its entire body. When not in use, this incredibly long, sticky tongue is not coiled up in its mouth. Instead, it retracts into a special sheath in its chest cavity, anchoring all the way down near its pelvis. When it's time to eat, the pangalan uses its powerful front claws to rip open anthills and termite mounds. Then, it unleashes its tongue, flicking it in and out at high speed to lap up thousands of insects. A single pangalan can consume up to 20 million ants and termites a year, making it a crucial form of natural pest control. Their parental behavior is also incredibly endearing. A mother pangalan will carry her baby, called a pangapup, on the base of her tail. If danger approaches, she will roll up into a ball, with her pup safely tucked inside. It's one of the most effective and adorable defensive strategies in the animal kingdom. Tragically, the pangalan's unique armor is also its greatest curse. It is the most illegally trafficked mammal in the world. Its scales are falsely believed to have medicinal properties in some traditional practices, and its meat is considered a delicacy. Their defense mechanism of rolling into a ball, so effective against natural predators, makes them tragically easy for human poachers to simply pick up and carry away. All 8 species of pangalan are now threatened with extinction. The pangalan is a quiet, gentle, and utterly unique creature that has been on this planet for 80 million years. It's a relic from a different evolutionary era, a mammal that took a very different path. It chose armor over aggression and specialization over generalization. It is a perfect example of how evolution can produce something both incredibly bizarre and wonderfully efficient. Its plight is a stark reminder of the devastating impact of human ignorance and greed. This walking artichoke is one of nature's most precious and bizarre creations, and it is disappearing before we've even begun to fully understand it. The glass frog, the transparent wonder. In the lush, humid rainforests of Central and South America lives a creature that takes the concept of bearing your soul to a literal extreme. This is the glass frog. From the top, it looks like a fairly standard, small, lime green tree frog. But if you were to gently turn it over, you would see something astonishing. The skin on its belly is completely transparent. You can see right through it. Through its translucent skin, you can witness a living anatomy lesson. You can see its tiny heart beating, pumping red blood through its arteries. You can see its digestive tract, its liver, and even the eggs developing inside a female. It's like having a window into the inner workings of a living being. The purpose of this incredible transparency is a subject of scientific debate, but the leading theory is camouflage. When the frog is resting on a leaf, the transparent skin helps to break up its silhouette. Light passes through its belly, making its edges appear to blend in with the leaf, a concept called edge diffusion. It makes the frog much harder for predators like snakes and birds to spot. But their transparency serves another, equally fascinating purpose related to reproduction. After mating, the female glass frog lays her eggs on the underside of a leaf overhanging a stream. And here's where the male steps up. He is a surprisingly dedicated father. He will stand guard over the eggs, sometimes for weeks, protecting them from predators like wasps. His most important job, however, is to keep the eggs hydrated. If they dry out, they will die. So, the male will periodically leave, go down to the stream to soak himself in water, and then return to sit on the eggs, keeping them moist. Some species have been observed urinating on their eggs to keep them from desiccating, a true act of fatherly devotion. When the tadpoles are ready to hatch, they wriggle out of their eggs and drop into the stream below, where they will continue their development. The glass frog's life cycle is a delicate dance between the trees and the water, a life made possible by its strange and beautiful transparency. The glass frog is a fragile jewel of the rainforest. It's a creature that hides in plain sight, using transparency not to be invisible, but to become one with its environment. It challenges our idea of what skin is for. It's not just a barrier, it can be a window. It's a living, breathing, heart-beating testament to the subtle and breathtakingly elegant solutions that evolution can dream up. Looking at a glass frog is a humbling experience, a reminder that some of nature's greatest wonders are the ones that are quiet, small, and almost see-through. The immortal jellyfish, the master of rebirth. Death is the one great certainty of life. Everything that lives must eventually die. Or does it? Meet Turritopsis dohrnii, a tiny jellyfish, no bigger than your pinky nail, that has found a loophole in the laws of aging. This creature is, for all intents and purposes, biologically immortal. It has a life cycle that doesn't end, it just resets. Here's how a normal jellyfish lives. It starts as a fertilized egg, which grows into a larva. The larva settles on the seafloor and becomes a polyp, which looks like a tiny sea anemone. This polyp then buds off tiny, free-swimming jellyfish, which grow into adults, reproduce, and then die. The end. But Turritopsis dohrnii has a trick up its gelatinous sleeve. When it gets old, or is physically damaged, or faces starvation, it can do something that defies biology. It can reverse its life cycle. The adult jellyfish, or medusa, will sink to the ocean floor. Its bell and tentacles will begin to regress and absorb back into its body. It reverts back into a polyp, a blob of juvenile tissue. From this polyp, new jellyfish will eventually bud off, each one genetically identical to the original adult. It doesn't just heal, it is reborn. It's like a butterfly that, upon getting old, could turn back into a caterpillar and start its life all over again. This process is called transdifferentiation. It's a rare biological phenomenon where a mature, specialized cell can transform into a completely different type of specialized cell. In the immortal jellyfish, the cells of the adult medusa somehow reprogram themselves, reverting to their earliest polyp stage form. This isn't just regeneration like an axolotl growing a new limb. This is the regeneration of the entire organism, a complete reset of its biological clock. This doesn't mean the immortal jellyfish can't die. It can still be eaten by predators or succumb to a disease that kills it before it can transform. But it will never die of old age. Its discovery has sent shockwaves through the scientific community, particularly in the fields of aging and cancer research. Understanding the molecular mechanisms that allow Turritopsis dohrnii to control its cells so precisely could unlock revolutionary new medical treatments. How does it tell its cells to go back in time without forming tumors? How does it maintain its genetic integrity through countless cycles of rebirth? The immortal jellyfish is a biological enigma. It's a creature that has conquered mortality, not through strength or intelligence, but through the ultimate act of humility, the willingness to go back to the beginning. It floats through the oceans, a tiny, silent ghost, carrying the secret to eternal life. It reminds us that the rules of life and death, which seem so absolute to us, might just be suggestions that some creatures have learned to ignore. The pistol shrimp, the one-punch man of the sea. In the coral reefs and seagrass beds of the world's oceans lives a tiny shrimp with a weapon that defies physics. This is the pistol shrimp. It's usually only an inch or two long, but it possesses one of the most powerful and bizarre weapons in the animal kingdom. It has one normal claw and one massively oversized claw that can be cocked back like the hammer of a gun. When it snaps this claw shut, it creates a sound louder than a jet engine and a bubble that is as hot as the surface of the sun. Let's be clear about what's happening here. The shrimp isn't hitting anything with its claw. The sound isn't from the two halves of the claw clapping together. When the pistol shrimp snaps its claw shut, it does so with such incredible speed that it creates a tiny, high-velocity jet of water. This water jet moves so fast that the pressure in its wake drops below the vapor pressure of water, causing a tiny bubble to form. This phenomenon is called cavitation. This isn't just any bubble. This is a cavitation bubble, and it is a pocket of extreme physics. As the water pressure around it returns to normal, the bubble collapses in on itself with tremendous force. This collapse is so violent that for a split nanosecond, the temperature inside the bubble reaches over 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 4,400 degrees, nearly as hot as the surface of the sun. The collapse also produces a flash of light, a phenomenon known as sonoluminescence, and a shockwave that generates a sound that can reach 220 decibels. For comparison, a gunshot is about 150 decibels. The sound is so loud, it can stun or even kill a small fish or crab instantly. The shrimp then simply collects its incapacitated prey. This is a creature that hunts with a combination of plasma, light, and sound. The snapping is so loud that colonies of pistol shrimp can interfere with submarine sonar, creating a constant crackling background noise that sounds like frying bacon. For decades, the Navy was baffled by this acoustic fog until it was traced back to these tiny, superpowered crustaceans. The pistol shrimp is a master of its weapon. It uses it for hunting, for defense against predators, and for communicating with other shrimp. It can even regenerate its weapon. If a pistol shrimp loses its large snapper claw, the smaller claw will grow into a new, fully functional snapper, and the lost limb will regrow as a smaller claw. It can switch its gun hand. The pistol shrimp is a testament to the sheer power that can be packed into a tiny body. It has harnessed a complex principle of fluid dynamics to create a weapon of almost unbelievable power. It's a walking, snapping science experiment, a creature that proves you don't have to be big to be one of the most powerful hunters in the sea. You just need to know how to break the laws of physics with a single stunning snap. The lyrebird, the greatest impersonator on Earth. We end our journey in the forests of Australia with a creature that challenges the very idea of what is real and what is imitation. Meet the lyrebird. This ground-dwelling bird is not particularly colorful or striking at first glance. but it possesses a vocal ability that is so sophisticated, so complex that it borders on the supernatural. The lyrebird is the world's greatest mimic. It can imitate almost any sound it hears with breathtaking accuracy. And we're not just talking about other birds' songs. A lyrebird can perfectly replicate the sound of a camera shutter, a car alarm, a chainsaw, the whine of a power drill, and the cries of a human baby. Its vocal organ, the syrinx, is the most complex of any songbird, allowing it to produce an incredible range of sounds, often multiple sounds at once. It can sing its own complex song while simultaneously producing a perfect imitation of another bird's call. The male lyrebird uses this incredible talent for one primary reason: to impress a mate. During his courtship display, he will clear a small mound on the forest floor to use as his stage. He will then fan out his magnificent tail feathers, which, when displayed, resemble a lyre, the ancient Greek harp, and begin his concert. He will weave together an intricate symphony of sounds he has collected from his environment. He might start with the call of a kookaburra, transition into the sound of a logging truck's engine, and then seamlessly blend that into the alarm call of a flock of parrots. It is a performance of staggering complexity and artistry. The more diverse and accurate his repertoire, the more attractive he is to a female. He is essentially a DJ sampling the sounds of the forest to create the ultimate mating mixtape. This isn't just mimicry, it's cultural transmission. Young male lyrebirds learn their songs from older, more experienced males. This means that different populations of lyrebirds can have different dialects, incorporating the specific sounds of their local environment. A lyrebird living near a construction site will have a very different song from one living in a remote, untouched forest. They are creating a living, evolving acoustic map of their world. The lyrebird forces us to ask a profound question. What is the difference between a sound and its meaning? When a lyrebird imitates a chainsaw, it doesn't know what a chainsaw is. It has simply identified a complex, interesting sound and incorporated it into its vocabulary. It is a master of sound for sound's sake. It is an artist that paints with noise. Listening to a lyrebird is a surreal experience. It blurs the line between the natural and the artificial, between the animal and the machine. It is a living record of its environment, a feathered archivist that preserves the sounds of its world, for better or for worse. The lyrebird is a powerful reminder that the most amazing abilities in nature are not always about strength or survival in the physical sense. Sometimes they are about art, about communication, and about the simple, profound beauty of a perfect imitation.